Hello everyone, this is Crazy Cajun with MissAtleur.com. Today we're going to attempt to do some makeup on this lovely head that is already prepped using MissAtleur BodyColor. We're going to be using Chauffeur White for the teeth. We're probably going to use Ruby Red for the lips. We do have some Rose Red just in case I change my mind. We've got some Passion Pink that we're going to use probably right here in the corners of the eye sockets to add a little realism to them. We've got some Luster Gray that we're going to use for eyeliner. And our eyeshadow for today is going to be Sky Blue. I must apologize for the poor quality of the eyebrow wigs. There's some that I tried to make and they didn't come out very well. Oh well, you live and you learn. April's still giving me a hard time over that one. Now the first thing we want to do is set our head up in a comfortable working position. It's one thing that a lot of people don't consider is if the head is not in a comfortable working position for you, it makes life a lot harder. We're actually going to start this process by inserting a small plastic bead into her mouth. I like to do this because, as you can see, it brings the teeth forward. And this allows us to see them, and it allows the body color to dry without touching any other part of the face or the lips. I'm going to also put a little bit of alcohol into a small dish and get a paper towel ready. I do this because on the teeth I must use a very small brush as my eyesight isn't very good. So I'm going to use a very small brush to put the color on with. Again, the bead, and we shake quite often, the bead keeps the teeth off of the bottom lip, and it lets me more easily put the body color on. I'm not going to use the supplied brush for this. Like I say, I have pretty bad eyesight, so we're going to use a small artist brush to do this. Now I normally end up doing this in about 2 coats, sometimes more than that. And as you can see, I'm really more dabbing the color on than I am trying to brush it on. This is an important thing with body color. Not to really try to pull the color too much, because it will streak on you and it'll leave you wondering what happened. it's easier to simply dab it on. And work from there. I load my brush pretty heavy because it's easier to get it to dab in place when it's pretty heavy. I don't have to try to pull it. And I'm thinking actually one coat may end up being enough. If I don't mess it up. We'll let that dry and come back. As you can see, I will have to touch it up a little bit where I tried to pull too much with it. And the alcohol is to clean the BodyColor off of the brush. It does a very good job of doing that, as alcohol will cause the BodyColor to solidify almost immediately, and it comes off of the brushes very, very quickly and very easily and very thoroughly. Just make sure that the brush is completely dry of alcohol before you try to use it with BodyColor again, or you will ruin the entire bottle. And we'll let that dry for probably 10-15 minutes, and then we'll put maybe a little bit more on the teeth. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes or so, and we're going to attempt to put some more color on the teeth. As you can see, it is dry to the touch anyway, and as stated before, I prefer to use a small artist brush over the supplied brushes to do this with. And we're only going to just touch up some spots that we previously didn't get very good, or I wasn't satisfied with them, so I'm going to redo them just a little bit. Very, very small additions, and there, that's all it took. And now with that done, our teeth will be nice and pearly white for the photos for this head. And again, we're going to clean the brush off with a little bit of, I like to use 91% rubbing alcohol. And we want to make absolutely sure we get all of the alcohol off of the brush. Because again, I'm going to use the brush to outline the lips. And I say outline because I'm going to try to get a nice, good profile of the lips. Now, I have as much trouble as anybody else in doing this. So again, I will be using the artist brush, and I've got, I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but I've got some little bits of dirt that has already moved in on me, on right where I want to put some color. And again, we shape our color quite often because the pigments do separate rather quickly. Now this color is a translucent color, and it does darken as it dries. And again, a big thing is getting the piece in a comfortable working position. I'm going to load the brush a little bit. And again, as you can see, I'm not so much trying to stroke the color on as I am just kind of letting it go where I initially put it. And it takes quite a bit of practice, I must say. And I absolutely could use a lot more. As you can tell, I'm already messing up, and yeah. But as you can see, I'm not really trying to stroke the color in as much as I am just letting it settle. BodyColor really won't want to run very much. There. That's as well as I can outline the top lip. Like I say, I'm not very good at this, unfortunately. We have a lot of users that are actually much, much better than I am. It does take quite a bit of practice. As you can see, I just simply wiped it off right there with my finger. But it must be done pretty quickly, as it does set up rather fast. And now I can go back, and again I'm just kind of dabbing it on. It does dry darker, so although it does appear to be light, what I've got at the top has already dried somewhat. And thus it is appearing darker. We'll shake it just a little bit more. As I said, I'm not really very good at this, but I do try. And there, we will let that sit for about 10 to 15 minutes. Then we'll come back and we'll see how bad did I actually do. And we're back, and it's been about 20 to 30 minutes or so. And we'll take the bead out, and as you can see, she looks pretty good. Is she great? No. But I'm not really a very good makeup artist, so it's as well as I can do. And as you can see, the lips actually have a very high amount of luster to them. And they will retain that luster as long as I don't powder her. Now if I want to dull it down and give her more of a pastel look, I can add a little powder and it will take the shine off and give it a bit more of a pastel type look. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use some BodyColor, some Passion Pink, and I'm going to try to add just a very little bit of pink coloring right here, and maybe on both sides. I don't know. This is something I've been experimenting with to add a little bit of realism, and I've had some amount of success and maybe some amount of not success in doing that. Again, because it's a very small spot, and to be perfectly honest, it's what I normally use, is I'm going to use a very small artist brush to do this with. And I almost spilt that color. But roll it around and just dab, just touch right on the corner of the eye sockets. Not heavy. Just enough where it's just visible. And we'll try to do the same thing here. My problem is I normally don't get both eyes the same, which is not too bad, except for I normally get them quite a lot different. Okay, as I was saying before I lost my camera, we put just a little bit in the corners of the eyes, and I used Passion Pink to do that. And whoops, it seems to add a little bit of realism to it. At least I like to tell myself that. And it doesn't take a lot, just a little. You get too much, I imagine she would look like she's coming off of a drunk. And that might be a look that you're going for. Who knows, huh? Okay, we're going to call that good for the corners of the eyes. I'm going to clean my brush. Yes, I'm going to continue to use the artist brush. And I think what we're going to do next is we're going to do the eyeliner. To me, that's the hardest part of doing the eyes, because I end up never ever being satisfied with what I get with the eyeliners. And again, it's just my lack of ability is what I blame it on. And we're going to use the luster gray. We have several different blacks, but I like this luster gray. And we'll shake it pretty good. I like to shake these colors quite a lot. As I said, the pigments do separate fairly quickly. And these bottles I've actually been using out of for quite a while, as they do go pretty far. Now what I'm going to try to do is come from right here and come around. I normally mess up in doing this. I actually have a pretty heavy hand at it. That's what April tells me, that I've got a heavy hand when it comes to doing this. And that's why I mess up. I keep telling her that it's not so much I've got a heavy hand, I've just got bad eyes. She's going to end up looking like a raccoon, like she normally does. And now I'm going to switch over to a right hand. That's going to make it even worse because I'm left-handed, people. So trying to do this with one eye, or one working eye, and one hand that kind of sort of does what I want it to. Sometimes, not all the time. Really makes it hard. And I say, she normally ends up looking like somebody's pet raccoon. And she never ever lets me forget that. And again, I never ever seem to be able to get both sides to come out the same. If anybody has any tips on doing that, I'd love to hear them. Actually, I'm not going to put it on the top. Changed my mind. You notice how I changed my mind and wiped it right off. Again, you have to do it pretty quickly. You can't hesitate too long. Now, there's still a very little bit there, as you can no doubt see. But it should not affect us, as we're going to use a blue to do the eyeshadow with. So I don't think it's going to affect me. I could let it sit a little bit, and well, as you can see, it's actually coming off because it's so light. I can simply rub it off with a dry applicator, actually. There. Huh. I don't know if y'all can hear her. April's fussing at me in the background. But anyway, we've got that done. I've got her looking like a coon. So we're going to take our blue We're going to shake it up a little bit. Okay, let's come in. We're going to start a little bit high up. And kind of dab it in. As I say, I'm not very good at this at all. April never lets me live it down. And again, we'll try it with the right hand, and this is what always messes me up because I'm left-handed. I've only got one working eye, so I normally mess up. That's okay. I can switch over maybe to the left hand for this part. Maybe not. We'll see. I never get them right. Again, a lot of the users are much, much better than I will probably ever be at getting the two halves somewhat symmetrical. I wish I could. I'm probably getting all up in the camera's way. And I'm going to call it quits at this because I think I'm making things worse. At least that's what April is telling me in the background, is to stop while I'm ahead, because she's about to get ill with me. And we're going to give that about 10 minutes or so to sit up and dry a little bit. I know I've messed up really bad on them, but life is life, and I'm not a makeup artist, so we're going to do the best we can. We'll be back in a few minutes to see how it all comes together. Okay, so it has now been about 20 minutes or so since we did the eyeshadow. And as you can see, it didn't come out great, but it's not really horrible. And we're going to improve the looks a little bit by inserting some eyes back into her. That always does help. And we're going to use these lovely standard issue Jensen blue eyes, if I can get them in. I don't particularly care for the Jensen eyes. It always kills me the way he has to stuff all of this cotton stuff and try to get it all behind the eye. Be really nice if they could come up with something a little bit better. And I think I've got too much on this one. I'll try taking a little bit out. God, it's even hard to get it out. But we'll get it. And the addition of the eyes. And if you notice, I don't have upper eyelashes on this head, and that's purposely done because I love these removable eyelids, which I also use BodyColor on. I have not gotten permission to give out any information on them from the manufacturer, so I won't. Just know that removable eyelids make 100% difference. And she doesn't look too awful bad at that point. And let's see if we can't make her look a little bit better by maybe adding a nice wig to her. And I'm going to get up and zoom out just a little bit. Yes, as you can see, we're going to put not a bad looking wig on her to complete her look. And there. Not a bad looking girl at all. The color absolutely looks great. Easily done and easily removed, yet durable. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these out and I'm going to show you how. Come on, don't look all really crazy. If we add a little bit of powder, we can actually tone down the luster a little bit, giving it a very pastel appearance. And we'll do the same thing on the eyelids. There. If we close them, you can see this one has a much more pastel type look than the left. We can actually powder the left as well. There. Very, very nice appearance on this lovely number 36 head. And again, I don't know if you can see it or not, but she has very lovely white pearly teeth. Nice looking girl. Very nice indeed. And that's the basics of how we use BodyColor to bring a face to life. Thank y'all very much, and I hope this has been able to help somebody.